Not long ago, before nearly every manufacturer offered one, if your family drove an SUV, it was likely either a Ford Explorer or a Jeep Grand Cherokee. And over the past 3 decades, the Grand Cherokee has advanced to the position of the flagship Jeep, with some trim levels so powerful and opulent that their price tags can exceed $100,000. But never before has there been a Grand Cherokee big enough for a third row. Enter the all-new 2021 Grand Cherokee L with 7-passenger seating. Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep have accomplished the seemingly impossible, letting decades pass before completely redesigning their vehicles while still maintaining their appeal and popularity. Toyota tries, but doesn't do it nearly as well. Take, for example, the outgoing 2-row Grand Cherokee. Last redesigned 10 years ago and born from the troubled Daimler days, it's departing as a sales success, trailing only the much newer Wrangler in volume. But as we await its replacement, due later this year, Jeep is coming in first with its bigger 3-row variant, the Grand Cherokee L. It now rides atop an Italian-born, rear or all-wheel drive unibody architecture, reducing weight and improving refinement. This well-equipped 4x4 Overland model sneaks in at under 5,000 pounds, only 32 pounds more than the current 2-row Overland. And that lightweighting, combined with the more intelligent, fully independent suspension, lend to a drive that's more controlled and premium in its moves. And because comfort and capability is the name of the game in the family-sized SUV segment, Jeep has targeted those areas, upgrading the air suspension with a dual tank design, more quickly raising and lowering the body, adding adaptive dampers that continuously adjust to road conditions, and enhancing noise-canceling measures. There are new manners here that everyone can feel. And even though this Overland model is slotted below the more bougie Summit and Summit Reserve trims, it's very well appointed, with softer leather seating, massage programs, an upsized 10-inch infotainment screen, a 19-speaker audio system, night vision, head-up display, power folding seats, and quad-zone climate control. So this one won't leave you wanting, and comes in fully optioned at $63,915. About 40 grand gets you into the Grand Cherokee L with 6 trims available, all with optional 4-wheel drive except Summit Reserve where that is standard. Another option is a V8, but only on Overland and higher. Otherwise, your Grand Cherokee L will have Pentastar power, a 293 horsepower, 3.6-liter V6 capable of 260 pound-feet of torque. This engine has been a Chrysler workhorse for years, but on paper, it looks a little deficient when compared with the direct injection Turbo 4 in the Ford Explorer, which generates more power and delivers better fuel economy via a transmission with 2 more gears. Here, Jeep uses a smooth engine stop-start system and front axle disconnect to eke out 21 mpg on regular. But it can tow more than the Explorer, rated at 6,200 pounds, and boasts a nearly 500-mile driving range. That being said, the Don't Call Me a Hemi V8 has been on my mind. I have put a lot of miles on this one, so I've got some interesting takeaways about its drive. Now, first and foremost, this new architecture, combined with the air springs, give it the most refined ride that the Grand Cherokee has ever had. It is really well composed. And despite the fact that there's no V8 under the hood, there's certainly enough engine here to feel confident in all driving situations. But on the highway, the transmission feels rough, downshifting with a thud. And then the steering assist feature is crude, snapping the wheel back into place as opposed to gently coaxing it like it should. But the least appealing part are the sounds coming from the Pentastar. It's almost as if the engineers felt as though they had to make it sporty sounding, but instead it just comes across as gruff. And because I'm averaging less than 20 mpg here, I would recommend reaching for the Hemi if at all possible. The 8-speed auto isn't entirely right and infringes upon the Grand Cherokee L's premium aspirations. I imagine the 360 horsepower V8 would help, and it can tow 1,000 pounds more. But 17 mpg on mid-grade gas might be too much to take. But let's turn our attention to what a Jeep is known for, going off the beaten path. The optional off-road group adds smaller but more aggressive off-road tires and steel skid plates. And with the Quadra-lift air springs fully raised, giving you nearly 11 inches of ground clearance, this one can ford 2 feet of water. This Overland has the best four-wheel drive system called Quadra-Drive 2 and includes a low gear set for plodding along the trail and a limited slip differential at the rear to direct the power more precisely between the wheels. It's a reactive system, meaning it needs to detect wheel slip before distributing engine torque, though Jeep says in some cases it can also preemptively react to eliminate tire slip. It works in conjunction with the easy-to-use Selec-Terrain system, with 5 modes which coordinates up to 6 different powertrain characteristics, providing optimized calibrations for the terrain type. So choose mud, for instance, and the suspension jumps to the off-road 1 setting, adding 1.6 inches of height. Need more? Off-road 2 brings an additional 2.4 inches of height. And like the performance pages seen in high-performance Dodge models, this one has off-road pages. They're very cool, and Chrysler does this sort of thing particularly well. There's also great camera coverage with a front-facing trail cam and a surround view, but Jeep goofed by not taking this button off of the screen. In parking situations, it doesn't stay on once you shift out of reverse, and it's buried in here, so it can be maddening to find when needed. Nevertheless, this trail-rated Jeep feels very at ease out here. Just power fold the mirrors in and you're ready to go. The approach and departure angles are impressive for a big SUV when the body is all jacked up. When you think of off-roading a Jeep, you probably conjure up images of a Wrangler, right? Well, there are plenty of other trail-rated Jeeps on the market that are capable of participating in this kind of fun, and despite its significant size, I would definitely include the Grand Cherokee in that group. Now, we've had quite a bit of rain around here recently, so this trail, which is moderate in intensity, is pretty muddy and steep at times, but so far, this Grand Cherokee with all of its off-road tricks hasn't even broken a sweat. These light, all-terrain tires do a nice job both on and off-road, and there's also hill descent control for going down steep grades such as this. As for the cabin, I like the look of this black Napa leather and dark wood, and it's uncluttered in its appearance. The controls are simple to understand, and the creature comforts are robust. There's really nothing missing here. Wireless phone projection, charge pad, a fam cam for checking in on the kids, a digital rearview mirror, heated and ventilated front seats, heated steering wheel, a little bit of ambient lighting, and all of the driver assistance stuff. But the front seats lack some cushioning, and on the highway it's not as quiet in here as I was expecting. Uconnect 5 is a good infotainment system, but it's not as easy to get around as it used to be, and I personally would no longer consider it the industry benchmark. And having just experienced the new Pivi Pro system in the Jaguars and the updated Mercedes-Benz user experience, I have to say this one feels pretty slow, and its navigation voice commands are completely overmatched. And then I have always wanted a Macintosh stereo system, but as you probably know, they are prohibitively expensive. So I was excited to see an automotive application of one here. But having listened to it now for about a week, I have to say that it is several rungs down from those high-end Burmester and AKG systems. And that's the problem. This thing is dial-up slow, despite the fact that it's packed with lots of good features. And why don't these needles move on the Macintosh app? Am I doing something wrong here? As for spaciousness and third-row access, both are great. This isn't a Lexus RX 350L situation where the third row is a complete joke. This is legit adult capable, and the seats articulate easily out of the way for clear access, or you could just cut through the middle. The hands-free hatch opens with a clunk, but reveals lots of room and one-touch power folding second and third row seats. And if you activate it, the air springs auto-lower the body when you get out, so loading cargo is easier. The second row seats afford lots of configurable people space and include manual window shades, so 6 people could all be very comfortable in here. But between the hatch, the engine, and the Quadra-lift, this thing is always making some sort of noise, knocking down its premium appeal just a bit. I like but don't love the Grand Cherokee L, at least not as configured here. A little more polish and a tweak here and there could make it great. Or perhaps that's where the upcoming Grand Wagoneer picks up the slack. For TestDriveNow.com, I'm Steve Hammis.